everybody, Josh the RV Nerd of Vicious RV here on an early morning. I have to get here many hours before our RV show events open up sometimes to capture some of this footage for you. But I wanted to make it happen because we are just now unveiling our fully updated Go Play series. This is something that we've had for a couple years, and it's basically looked the same for a while. And we've been listening to a lot of feedback, some different things people have suggested and how we can improve it. And we saw some of the responses that people had on some of the features on our new fancier Go Explore series. And we said, is there a way we can provide some simplified versions of some of this to our folks? And I think that we've really nailed that. First of all, just the general look of this thing, I think inside and out is, I feel better than last year, actually even earlier this year. So there's going to be some early 2025 Go Plays out there that have like brown exterior decals and stuff. And now you got the new silver skin series. So it's very easy to tell if you're looking at one with the updates right here. Not only do I think it just looks better and fresher, but on the inside, we've done things like enhance the storage, especially under the bed and above the bed. We're trying to provide more easy camping, smarter storage solutions for you straight from the factory level, right at our dealership, so that everything is just easy and ready for you to go. Like the easy lift bed and the dresser drawer storage below it, even including a handy little laundry hamper that you can just throw right under there. No big deal. The kitchen, we've done a couple little minor revisions too, so you've got more effective drawer space, but also a dedicated wastebasket. Because one of the things that we feel is that every time you go camping, you're gonna need to put something in the garbage pretty much every day. So why aren't manufacturers doing little stuff like that for you? Now, beyond that, the really important features that we've had, like the larger, more powerful air conditioner, the heated underbelly, the taller ceiling. This floor plan happens to be totally carpetless and everything, which is awesome. But those things have stayed. We've only tried to make this thing better. And generally speaking, we've been able to do this stuff with no real change to the price tag, just a nice enhancement level to the product. So as we go, I'd love to hear from you. You folks have helped us add this next layer of development to it. Keep that feedback coming so we can continue to improve this for you. And I think if somebody gave this RV just a glance inside and out, I think they would probably describe it as a case of like brand new look, same great taste. And don't get me wrong, I don't know that we necessarily need to reinvent the wheel on our Go Play campers. Something I don't think we've done a good job of explaining is how successful this series has been. This series of campers has only been around 2 years and in only specific limited markets. But in those local regional areas, it has already become the top seller in 5 out of 6 of them. And it's one of the top 3 in the 6th zone where it's not the #1 seller. And I suspect one of the biggest reasons that it isn't ranking a little bit higher all the way across the board is because we actually sometimes run into phases of limited production availability on these. One of the ways that we keep our pricing in check is that when our production partner isn't building other things, we help them fill their factory logs by building Go Play RVs, and they take care of us as a result on that. And we pass that along to you. But what that does mean is that there are times where, hey, we might be sold out of this 20 FPS, and I don't know when I'm going to get another one in. But let's start talking about what's new. Like, you can obviously see the exterior of the RV was fully facelifted, but we made some small, but I think really thoughtful, impactful updates on these. A lot of this is, it's kind of bleed down from the development that we did on our Go Explore series, our new laminated series. So if you like this, but you're like, I want a little bit fancier, guys, well, we have that also now. We have more Wayfinder brands than we ever used to. But we've added a handful of these little flip down hooks when in a few key areas. And well, that's kind of cool. You could actually leave the hat on there. I never even thought about that. But anyway, you might notice those in a few spots around the RV. And the idea there is just being able to hang up a jacket. Those are things that we take for granted in our homes, but a lot of RVs don't have anything like that. Now, we had a lot of different conversations, and I'm trying to remember. I need to verify this. these handy little like woven tote bags or whatever that you're seeing here above the bed, I can't remember if those are just for display or if those are actually included. I almost want to say they're included, but I want to verify before I 100% commit to that. I want to tell you more what I know and not just what I think. If it's just what I think, in my opinion, I'll make sure to advise that. This is still a Camp Queen. All the Go Play models are still running a short queen, which I don't love, but this model is true queen capable, because when the slide closes, there's going to be enough room between the bottom of the bed and the slide out where if you wanted to put a true 80-inch bed in there, you could. Now, you might, so the question then, why don't we just do it? Well, one of the answers is because, frankly, the factory backbreaker death wafer mattresses are nothing to write home about, and you're probably going to want to replace it anyway. Just being totally candid and real with you, I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver this thing. So this bed allows us to have the least impact on the price tag while still giving you the visual full understanding that it has a mattress. And some people go, well, then why don't you just ship it with no mattress? Which I think is a very fair question. But I have a lot of experience looking at RVs with customers in person, and even in a used RV for far less money, if an RV doesn't have a mattress, people get really nervous. And I think on a new RV, if we tried to display it without a mattress, people would say, how cheap are you trying to be cutting all these corners? I just don't think visually people would appreciate it. And I could be wrong about that, but that's been my experience. But moving on from there, under the bed, we still have the struts to lift it, but we've redesigned the underbed storage. And I think this is, I personally prefer this much, much better. The dresser drawer storage, we've added 4 drawers to this that just were not there before. And notice too, this is a really good place to look. When you can see where a piece of wood was cut, did the manufacturer actually finish it? Like right there, you can see the tops of those boards, and they actually got finished off. They got color matched to the rest of the RV. If a manufacturer doesn't do that and just leaves rough cuts so that where you can see the raw exposed wood, it's just they're not complete about their work, and it makes me think, what else didn't they do? That's what goes through my mind. I bet it's the same thing that goes through your mind. We also decided, some of the things we want in our Wayfinder RVs are like laundry solutions, and this doesn't have quite the involved system that our Go Explorers do, but we're including that little collapsible laundry basket for you. And if you don't want it, then don't use it. No big deal. That's kind of the cool thing about some of these updates. They don't really cost you anything. They don't really cause problems. If you don't like them, like you don't have to hang a hat on the hook. You don't have to hang a jacket on the hook, little stuff like that. I don't remember these having sink covers last year either. That's another thing that we kind of solved for. So this floor plan has predated, TV viewing has become very important in a lot of RV development and usage. And this floor plan has remained popular, but it was in existence before television viewing was really a critical thing. So we've given it a TV prep space, but Go Play RVs is a more basic series of camper, not a fancy gonna spend a ton of time in it glamper. And we made TVs on this a secondary concern, but it is prep for when you want to add a TV. You can absolutely accept a TV. I really like the little tweaks to the kitchen too, because at a glance you're like, what do you mean? This looks absolutely the same. I'm trying to move the camera slowly here to not make you motion sick, but the little toe kick at the bottom of the cabinets, what that lets you do is really stand directly up to the counter space and really belly up to the bar, basically. And you can do your dishes without severe back pain. Now, in a bunch of our Go Play kitchens, we've actually increased the depth of the overhead cabinetry. We did leave it shrunken back a couple inches here so that if you're doing dishes, you won't, like if you lean forward to look in the sink, you're not going to bonk your head. So like the focus on this RV is not just how can we make something that people want to buy, but how can we make something that people actually want to use? That is the difference in the entire culture and mentality of the Go Play RVs. Now, there are some other brands that do a good job of that. I will say, I think Grand Design Transcend does a really good job of that. Jayco J-Flight generally does a pretty good job, but Cherokee has actually gotten better in like their Grey Wolf kind of stuff. But there are a lot of trailers out there, especially in a stick and tin price point, that are just built from the ground up to try to be sales monsters. And it's the kind of thing that like you will have to come up with a bunch of aftermarket solutions to make it a more functional camper. We wanted to build a more functional camper right from the start, basically. And it's all kind of shoved over here into the corner, but we actually do have a dedicated vertical pantry space there. And I've seen some builders make a floor plan like this, where it's basically just open air cubbies. One, I kind of don't want all the stuff in my kitchen cabinet on just full display for whoever walks in the camper. Secondly, this is on the back of the RV, and even though this is a very short wheelbase camper, so the back of the camper is not bouncing like the back of a school bus, which catapults some kid against the freaking ceiling when they hit a speed bump. You've seen those videos, I'm sure. Anyway, we still wanted it so that if you hit a bump or had to hit the brakes real hard because some idiot cuts you off, your stuff in your cabinets wasn't going to be all over your floor right in front of your door right when you get into your camper. Now, again, we've kind of tweaked up changed up the kitchen storage setup here a little bit, and one of the things that I really like is that we found some extra space over here for a dedicated wastebasket area. That's one of those things you hear me kind of griping about in a bunch of my RV videos, that manufacturers don't give you a spot for stuff like that. So we really felt, if it was going to be our own series of trailers, that we should probably also solve for that thing that we ourselves don't like. Every single time you go camping, you're probably going to need to put something in the garbage, you know. Now, this floor plan is carpetless and it has no floor heating vents. Some Go Plays do have floor heating vents. That's a thing that we can't just necessarily choose to not have for various production reasons, but I can explain that more in the comments if you're curious. But this one is carpetless ventless, so it's very easy cleaning, very pet friendly. But notice how this is a floor flush rack and pinion slide. That is exceptionally uncommon and rare in like a stick and tin price point. Even the Rockwood 2109 S, the Freedom Express 19 SE, previous called the 192 RBS, they don't even have floor flush slides until you go to their more bigger, expensive models. And the reason that's really an important factor potentially for you, one, it's statistically and by public perception, the most reliable slide system. So that's what we wanted to use. Secondly, it adds extra storage under the sofa right here. And by the way, this can fold down into a small sleeper. Now, one of the things that helps us keep the pricing in check on these is that we just basically don't have options. So a theater seat or a hide-a-bed or a dinette from the factory is not possible on these. I would like it to be, but we had to kind of draw a line at some point, and for the aggressive cost control measures, having options, even if they're not applied to the RV, just the presence of an option within the lineup actually increases the base cost of the camper, because there's more SKU numbers, there's more management, there's more parts on order, and it increases the labor cost. So we're peeling labor cost out of the RV, basically. The other thing this lets you do is if you wanted to put in your own theater seat, or if you wanted to put in a desk, or if you wanted to put in something else over there, that sofa can be removed. And because the slide goes all the way to the floor, because it's not a step up slide out, it means that you can basically do whatever you want with it, the way that you want with it. And that's a key difference factor here. Now, in this bathroom, I like the fact that we have some linen storage behind the toilet, but it's not very deep and it's very wide open. So I think what you're going to have to do here is like roll towels up burrito style and really stuff them in there. Or what do you think about the idea? I think it isn't necessarily the prettiest looking thing, but what do you think of this? What if there, that bungee netting, that stretchy netting? What if there was some netting on like the bottom half to third of this? Or what if like a couple inches off the base, there was just another, you see this board right here? What if there's just another one of these boards right here across every one of these shelves to help keep stuff in there? Do you think that would be good enough? Because it would be better than it is right now, and it really wouldn't cost very much. But I don't know, would you be okay with that? Or should we just leave it alone? You are the people really that make the decisions on this product. We're just kind of listening to you. So while you're leaving me a note on that, or not, I want to mention, we're doing some more things like to add towel hooks to our bathrooms and stuff, but we don't really have any for like big tall towels in this. It kind of feels like if you take a shower, you're going to need to like drape the towel over the shower enclosure itself to help give it some space to like breathe and air out. Now, this is not this is our smallest go play. Small tandem axle, go play, pardon me. And it has a small bathroom. This might be a problem for some folks. Like, I mean, my elbows, my knees, they're hitting stuff. And I'm not the world's biggest dude. I'm not super small, but I'm also not the world's biggest dude. So you'll have to decide how that matters to you. The only way that we could change that is basically with a full-scale floor plan redesign, which is kind of invasive, so I don't expect that's going to happen. But I do want to mention these are 6'9" tall. We have a taller ceiling on these, and that does mean that you can, if you're taller like me, I'm a little over 6 foot, you know, you can stand in there. Now, radius showers, depending on how you stand and your personal stature, you may still bonk your elbows on them. But we still have at least what I call fully complete rooms. So like the kitchen actually still had a propane oven. Here in the bathroom, you actually have a full mirrored medicine cabinet, not just a mirror glued against the wall. There's basically no counter space in this bathroom. It's a basic plastic sink. The faucet doesn't rise up very far. You know, it's still a simple series camper, but we've tried to be smart about some things. Like we did add this little towel rack over here. I kind of wish this was on that other blank wall though, but I guess it is up high enough that it could work really well for some things like hand towels. So, you know, there you go. Oh, by the way, before I forget, you may have noticed that floating Dynofa table has kind of appeared and disappeared through the video. One of the best places I found to store that when you're not using it is actually right behind the sofa. That seems to work very well. Now, it doesn't have to stick up. I left it standing vertically like that. But remember how you can lift the sofa up? You can easily store it under the sofa, behind the sofa, whatever kind of place makes the most sense to you in there. And one other thing to mention real quick, I'm sure you've noticed it, but I haven't demonstrated it. We actually have included, it's basic, but a privacy curtain for the bed on this. So if you don't want somebody, like if you just want to feel a little more enclosed and protected, you can have that peace of mind in here. The road mode on this overall is pretty excellent. As I mentioned earlier, if you do want, like, if you want to purchase these, you're like, I need a true queen size bed. I need a longer bed so my feet don't hang off the end of the bed. And the bed goblin union who lives in that hole down there so they don't rip my toes off in the middle of the night. Well, you can do it because there is enough room at the foot of this bed. Now, this is, again, a rack and pinion slide out, which has some awesome advantages. Like I mentioned, the reliability factor, the fact that it's floor flush. One of the only downsides is, well, there's three significant downsides. It's heavier, it's more expensive, and it is not designed to be occupied unless fully extended. Because right now, the floor is floating, and the inside edge of this floor is not supported the way that it's supposed to be. So, best suggestion, don't get in that thing while it's retracted. But other than that, when the slide's closed, you can fully navigate the RV. There's no storage you cannot access. You can get to everything in the kitchen. You can easily get to the bathroom. However, when I was closing the slide, thankfully I have enough experience to eyeball stuff to see if there's going to be a slide out conflict. I noticed something, and I want your opinion on this. Remember those little hooks that are on the wall over here? If those are folded down, this slide out will catch them and rip them off. So, do you want those hooks left there, or should they be removed so they don't get broken, or should they be moved somewhere else? And if so, where do you want those moved? We need to know stuff like that. Now, one of the nice things on this one, I think the maximum weight of this with full cargo is only like 6,250. So this is something that some lighter capacity vehicles or folks who just don't want a giant RV can tote around, and it's shorter length, but still on tandem axles. Even though it's just a conventional leaf spring kind of system, there's no specific suspension upfit done on a series like this in this budget range. It is the kind of setup where, generally speaking, it's going to tow pretty good for you, relatively speaking, to other things in this class. Now, of course, we have the giant support beam in our way, so you can't really get a good look at that rack and pinion slide, but that's one of the, again, I think, very standout features on this that is very easily overlooked. This is a series and a price point that does tend to appeal to more newer, first-time buyers, perhaps with less experience, and they don't realize the different slide systems that are in play there. And manufacturers are pretty good at basically masking an above floor, like Schwintek slides, so that on the inside of the RV, it looks like a normal full sofa like we had in here, even though it's not. I actually had that literal conversation with someone yesterday on this specific RV because he wanted to take the sofa out and put in a pair of individual recliners, and I respect that. But in a step up slide out, you can't do that. And he had no idea that was even a thing. By the way, this little sticker here that says GP26, we are on the first release of this update series, and there were a couple things that were kind of, I think, misunderstood between us and our production partner. So that GP26 sticker means nothing. It's not supposed to even be there. But this is another thing people really liked on our Go Explore updates, on that whole Go Explore Camper series, was including a picnic table. So we decided, you know what, we're going to do that with Go Play. I don't know that I've seen any other stick and tin product come with its own picnic table from the factory like that. I think that's a really cool touch. We added the battery disconnect in here, and we've moved the solar charge controller into the front storage compartment, and both of those are literally for the exact same reason. Bish's has its own, remote teleservice system called rvfix, and we've had this for over a year now, and it has given us some incredible insights as to the hiccups and the challenges that RV owners encounter in the field, and how we could try to build an RV that naturally, organically works around, like avoids those problems. Having the charge controller in that front pass-through is a more serviceable location. It does mean that you can't actively monitor it from the inside of the RV. I get that. I totally get that. That's not necessarily ideal, but it is much, much handier for a service purpose. And we wanted to make sure, like, if you have a minor inconvenience, like you need to hop outside to check your solar controller, I don't know that that's the end of the world, but having your RV out of service is a bigger deal. So we're trying to solve for those bigger problems, and not necessarily exclusively the little problems, you know. And that solar that battery disconnect is another one of those things, just to keep your battery not getting drained when you're not using it. And we have standard 200 watt solar still included on this entire Go Play series right here. I think with the exception of our little mini like single axle bunkhouse Go Play Sport. I think that's the only one that doesn't have solar on it. But the idea being, you're probably not using this RV all day, every day. That's not really what we expect this to be used for. And we want you to be able to use it when you're ready. So having that battery topped off, I think, is a big part of that. Now, we haven't quite gone to the extent of like including a factory ladder on one of these. Probably, I'm going to guess, for competitive pricing purposes, I personally prefer a ladder built right onto it. But I do love hearing your feedback. You know, do you prefer just the ladder prep like this, or do you like an actual ladder on it? Everyone's got a little bit of a difference of opinion there. This floor, I can't really get around the other side of it, so I do apologize. But this floor plan is a single sewer outlet, which is kind of nice, so you don't have to do what I call the poop scoop boogie to hook up a couple different hoses or anything around it. You might notice it actually does have a stovetop exhaust vent hood up here, so that when you are cooking up a storm in the camper, you're not also cooking your face off inside of the camper. By the way, a lot of people don't realize this is something I think during like customer orientations gets forgotten. If I get you right up under here, there's a little clip. That's what opens and closes that. And if you're not paying attention, you may not actually have that open and ventilating, and you might just be blowing a lot of hot air inside the RV like I was recording my video a minute ago. Hey-o, dad jokes. Anyway, this, by the way, is the Miss Piggy karate chop door, but it's the anti-slam door, so that if a really hefty breeze hits that thing, it's not going to go blam against your RV. Another thing that's really uncommon in this kind of class and price point is not just that it's an enclosed belly. A lot of campers have that. It's actually still a heated belly. And that right there is a major distinctive criteria on Go Play campers that very few stick and tin campers have. I think Transcend is one of the few that actually has a direct heated belly like ours. Now, it's not really hard to spot. If you look above the RV, there's a giant poster with my face on it and a price tag. I want to stress for you that at the time this is releasing, at this RV show event that we're at, that price applies. And we don't do hidden fees, it's just plus taxes and tags. But I need to make very clear here, if you're watching this video 9 months, 6 months from now, a year from now, that may not necessarily apply. That's why I always leave you links in the video description. I don't care if you watch this video 4 years from now. If, of course, you can't see my fingers when I turn them sideways like that, can you? Because, you know, cameras and points of view. Anyway, if you check the link in the video description, that will take you to our website. That will always have a current and accurate pricing and availability list for you. That's why I leave you those links, so that you always get real figures and not what it might have just happened to have been one time in the past. That's why I do that. But right now, this will give you a quick idea at the time this launches, so check the posting date on this video. And until then, let me know what you think about the updated Go Plays, and whether you're curious or whether you're serious, we'd love to hear from you. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.